all things NASCAR. My name's Kerry, time host, founder, and chief of TobyChristieCom and for America.
Yes.
A long pause for the simple answer.
Well, I don't know if I was having headphones issues or what, but you were like popping in and out, so it was just kind of weird. So I was like waiting for my cue, and once I stopped seeing your mouth moving, I was like, okay, it's time for me to hop in. So yeah, that's pretty much.
I'll mess with you on the video then.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went right there.
We should talk about that a little bit. The last few weeks we've been providing video. We've been putting it at your YouTube channel, which is
TobyChristieCom. So if you go to youtube.com/TobyChristieCom, you should be able to find it.
So if you want to see what we're doing and see our weird faces, because I think we were made for radio, to be honest, at least me.
Right.
So, and now we're including Rowdy too, because the first couple of shows were like, and here's Rowdy, and we're back. we didn't quite know how to fit him in there, so he's even there with his fantasy NASCAR stuff. He'll be on later on in the program as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So good stuff. I just, we've been giving the YouTube thing like a half-hearted attempt before, and I think now we're trying to get it to stick, I think.
Yeah, and I think I think it'll just keep growing. I believe it'll keep getting better. Obviously, it's still in the very early stages, and we're starting to learn how to do a few things to it, so it'll keep getting better as we go.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we've got lots of racing to talk about, don't we?
We do. It's nonstop racing around these parts, man. It just doesn't stop.
Well, that's good, because a race that has stopped means it's been red flagged. So
that's a good point. We don't like red flags around here.
No. So let's get into Richmond Raceway. It's a short track that looks like a super speedway from above, but that's besides the point. Let's get to the 10 best drivers of this race, and we'll count them. We'll be different this week. We'll go down 10-1.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
So we've got Kevin Harvick there knocking on the door of, something, I guess. He's top 10 at least.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because usually when you look at Stewart-Haas Racing, he's the guy. Like, he's the top guy leading the way. He wasn't the top Stewart-Haas Racing guy this week, and it kind of felt like he was a little off compared to what you'd expect because he won this race a year ago. But at the same time, it was still a really good run, and he still keeps marching his way towards another playoff berth to end his career. You
got Austin Dillon, yet another run where I don't remember his name being mentioned.
Yeah, I didn't hear him on the broadcast once. I remember keeping up with him on timing scoring a couple times because it's kind of like one of those things where you try to keep up with where he ends up finishing. Because they have these weird spurts during most races where he does get up there, and then it either dwindles down or he ends up with a solid top 10 and nobody ever talks about it. So this was one of those ones where it's a top 10 and nobody talked about it.
Eric Almirola getting a top 10, and of course his name popping up in the news about what's he going to do next year.
Yeah, that is the big question mark, and he still hasn't made a decision, still hasn't let us know what his decision is, but that is the question mark. What will he do? But a solid 8th place finish. He's had some decent runs here lately. Going to Michigan, a place where Ford's been really good lately. Maybe we're looking at some Eric Almirola momentum at the right time.
Back to back, what are they doing next year, drivers? Martin Truex Jr. at number 7. Turns out, I guess he did buy that boat.
Yeah, he bought the boat. So does that mean I don't know?
Because he says doesn't sound good.
Says he's been in the boat market for a long time. So.
Right, but he's been holding back, and now he's done it. So is that the nail in the coffin, or what?
I don't know. I find it hard to believe, though, that he would walk away with how good he's been this year. I just felt like I understand you want to go out on the top of your game, but with how good he's been, and he's the regular season points leader and all that stuff, I just find it really hard to believe you'd just walk away after that, Unless it's like a magical season where he does win the championship, maybe he just drops the mic and walks off. But, if he ends up 2nd or 3rd in points, I find it hard to believe he'd end up walking away from that.
Yeah, boat's not going anywhere. He can do that anytime. So
seriously, maintenance, just keep it up. You're good to go.
Yeah. Brad Keselowski, what a day for Brad Keselowski. Led the most laps at 102. He won stage 2, but came up, a little bit short of the win.
Yeah, just a little shy, but man, oh man, is he closing in on it. I'm telling you, Brad Keselowski will win a race with RFK Racing, possibly this year. I know we're getting kind of long in the tooth on the season, but if not this year, he's going to win them in bunches next year. The guy is really closing in on it. And this is twice now where he's led a lot of laps, hasn't won the race, but it's been because of a mistake late in the race. So I think, with the way he entered the pit stall there on that last pit stop, that really, really screwed it all up. But I really think this next time around in that position, I think Brad Keselowski seals the deal. And it's just exciting to see how good Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing's been doing this season. They've really turned things around.
It wasn't that drastic, but it's amazing how if it's just off a little bit, the pit crew gets all out of whack.
Yeah, that's all it takes, man. And it's just a couple seconds here and there, and you go from the guy who's been dominating the race to, as we see, 6th place finisher.
Yeah, they should practice that. They should practice it with the wheel out.
Yeah, they really should. That way, it's not like a weird, funky situation.
Right. I'm sure they do. Ryan Preece at number 5.
And, dude, this guy had probably the fastest car throughout the whole race, just never got the track position he needed to be the leader. And he had a couple mistakes of his own. Had he had not made any of those errors, I think we're talking about a Ryan Preece win. He was just head and shoulders above everybody as far as speed goes. But a solid 5th place finish. I think he's just happy to finally get a good run. He had no top 10 finishes on the year coming into this race and gets it in a big way with a top 5. So I think that's really, really big for that team and that driver.
Got Joey Logano, 13th career top 5 at Richmond.
Man, and he is one of those guys where did he come from? It was like, I didn't
almost like Austin Dillon.
Yeah, I heard nothing about Joey Logano all day, never saw him, never had any kind of an inkling that maybe he might be a contender. And then we get in these closing restarts, and there's Joey Logano running like 2nd or whatever. I was like, what in the world? Ultimately finished 4th, but a very Joey Logano day, just shows up, and there he is.
And that's what you want to do. If your car isn't good enough to win, and you're not being mentioned in the broadcast, you want to at least show in the record books and points-wise and all that stuff that you were there.
Well, at the end of the day, even if you don't have a good car and you don't have a good race, if you can find a way to maximize your performance and get a 4th place finish on a day like that, that shows championship material right there. You know what I mean?
Very Matt Kenseth-like.
Yeah, I can see that. Very robotic.
Yes. Kyle Busch, his 5th top 5 in 8 races at number 3.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, man, another solid run. This guy, like I'm telling you, Kerry, his season has been pretty incredible. I don't know what you expected going into this, but him moving to RCR from Joe Gibbs Racing, I expect him to win a race. I didn't expect him to win 3 races. I definitely didn't expect him to have this kind of a momentous path towards the playoffs. So really impressive to see.
I kind of did. Joe Gibbs Racing seemed to, leave him for dead. So, this fresh outlook has got to be a big deal.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you're right, and I feel like it's completely rejuvenated him. I think he feels like he's the guy. I think RCR has really made that clear to him that, hey, we believe in you. You're the guy we're hanging this whole franchise on going forward, and I think that means a lot to him. And I think he's definitely gelling well with the crew chief and everything else they have going on there. And it just feels like they're in a really good spot right now.
At number 2, coming up one spot short of back-to-back wins, is Denny Hamlin. He gets his 7th top 5 this season, though. Yeah, no,
I mean, another good run, and he did get a little bit of retaliation from his new rival in this race.
He was coming through, wasn't he?
Yeah, Kyle Larson wasted no time getting a little bit of retaliation back, but Denny Hamlin held on to it. Finished 2nd ultimately, and I don't think that really factored into where Denny Hamlin finished anyway. The leader had a pretty big lead there towards the end, but yeah, I mean, this is just what it is. I mean, you're getting the summer months. The Joe Gibbs Racing cars usually seem to kind of turn it on once we get to the summer months these last few years, and it seems like we're seeing a recurrence of that. And if that's the case, this should be Denny Hamlin's season.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, back to Brad Keselowski. He was a part owner of the winner, Chris Buescher, started 26th. Man, he had to work his way through traffic. Survived a late race caution to lock himself into the playoffs. First win of the season, 3rd career win after leading 87 laps on the day. So also not a fluke. But Brad's got to be pretty proud of that at least.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, I went down to the shop. They had a team, get together where they were kind of celebrating the win on Tuesday, and
they invited you.
They invited me. I went down there, checked it all out. They had donuts, by the way, so you celebrate with donuts on the track on Sunday. You then go to the shop and have donuts on Tuesday. No, so they did it well. It was a really cool event, and the mood around the shop was really, really jovial. It was really cool to see. First off, how many employees they have, and then how excited everybody was genuinely to go over there, shake Chris Buescher's hand, shake Brad Keselowski's hand, take photos with them, Jack Roush, all those guys. So it was really, really cool to see. And I got a general vibe of kind of how things were going, and it just feels like you can feel this is a team on the rise, because they all mentioned that, a couple of years ago, it was kind of depressing in that shop. The The floor looked tattered. The lights were dim. Nobody wanted to be there. It was just a situation where it was just not good. It was kind of a toxic situation, and things have totally turned around in the last couple of years. They said Brad came in, put the floor in, which was huge. They're like, wow, the floor looks nice, and started getting all the just beat up race cars out of the way. Apparently, they just had a slew of cars just off to the side, just piled up in the corner.
Well, that would be depressing.
Yeah, so they got rid of all that. They got the lighting.
You got to give those to Dale Jr.
Yeah, right. They have the lighting a lot brighter in there, and I mean, I'm telling you, like, just not just the look of the shop has changed, but the overall feel of everybody, the entire dedication, everybody, they're all buying into what's being sold right now, and it's showing on the racetrack. They've had much better results, and now they've got a couple wins in their back pocket.
And I like Chris. Chris Buescher is just the nicest guy, very understated, very low key, but showing you what his skills are on the racetrack.
Very Texan, right?
Well, okay, if you're comparing him to you, whatever.
I mean, you like me and you like him, so we're both Texans, right?
Maybe there is something to that.
There could be. I don't know.
Of course, I never did actually say I like you, so.
Well, that's a good point, actually. I didn't think about that. So,
10, whatever, 13 years or whatever. I don't think I've ever said those words.
No, you tolerate me. You don't like me.
That's probably true, but you do the same for me.
Obviously, yes.
Just like the thumbnail for our channel suggests.
Yes. Well,
I still love that. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Good times.
So we got our stage winners at Tyler Reddick, stage 1. We mentioned Brad Keselowski, stage 2. Heat, huge factor. They kept showing Denny Hamlin's car. Poor guy. I guess he was the only one with a thermometer. But over 130 degrees inside that race car.
Yeah, and I think meat cooks at 134, right? Isn't that like a Ross or a medium rare steak, right?
I don't know. That sounds about right, though. That's hot.
Yeah, so, I mean, probably take a knife and fork to these guys afterwards and have a meal.
They're supposed to have cool suits and stuff on, though, so.
Yeah, sometimes those fail, though, and then it's even hotter.
They seem to fail a lot, actually.
I know. It's one of those things where I'd be like, do I really want to bring one of these?
Yeah, it's going to be worse. It's another layer. It's not good.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
We mentioned the whole Kyle Larson thing coming through. The funny thing about that was Denny was running, third place, and Kyle was 2 laps down, and he's like running right through the 11. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. It was good. I mean, you kind of saw it coming because Larson was on fresher tires. He needed to unlap himself from those guys, and it was like, he's going to do it. And sure enough, he did it.
So much faster, though.
I mean, that's the best thing about a track where there's gritty track surface, the tires wear out. You can have situations like that. Even where a guy's a lap down, he can still exact revenge on a guy like that. So I know overall the on-track product throughout the weekend wasn't as good as earlier in the spring at Richmond, and it definitely was about on par with the last few years at Richmond where it just wasn't that great of a race. But overall, we had some good storylines. We got a little bit of retaliation there, which was nice. And it wasn't Pocono, but it was still tolerable, I thought.
Last point I want to make about this race, we've got 12 drivers now locked into the playoffs. 4 spots remain with 4 races left. So are we going to see 4 unique drivers and fill out that 16?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know. Like we're kind of getting up into the point where we're starting to see guys kind of figure it out with this next gen car.
Multiple wins.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you've seen the Byrons and the Truexes and the Kyle Busch's kind of reel off some wins now. And you start doing the math, and it's like, man, you look at these tracks that are coming up. You might see a McDowell win because he's been pretty good on the road courses in his whole career, and this year especially, is I think scored the second most amount of points of anybody on a road course. Plus, we got Daytona still to go, where he's really good at.
Buescher's got some momentum now.
For sure. You look at a guy like Ty Gibbs, too. He's building a little bit of momentum. He's pretty good on road courses, as he showed in the Xfinity Series. Daytona, you never know. It's an anybody kind of thing, too. So I could see a couple. I don't know if we're going to see 4, though, man. 4 is a lot. But again, Chase Elliott's a guy that's pretty good on road courses. So you throw in that road course aspect, and you could see some guys. But then you go to Indianapolis in a couple weeks, and that's a road course where Shane Van Gisbergen shows back up. And if he wins again, cool, we got a winner, but it doesn't really matter because he's not in the playoff hunt. So, I don't know.
But he could spoil.
He could, for sure. And we'll see. And, AJ Allmendinger's another guy. Very good road courses, and he's right on the cusp of this thing, even though he decided to throwaway qualifying and practice this past week. But they're a team that could get in there too. So there's a lot of people that could. Realistically, will they? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I don't see us getting 4 more.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. There's just too many multiple winners, too many drivers that, like you said, have hit on things already, and we might see 1 more unique.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're going to see all 4. That would be kind of miraculous, actually.
Yeah, I could see 1 or 2. 4. If we get to 4, like that's an incredible run at this point in the season. To 4.
Let's get into some Rowdy Dragon. He's got your fantasy NASCAR picks for Michigan this weekend?
Yes, Michigan.
And yeah, so let's get him into this fantasy NASCAR Rowdy Dragon, and then we'll get into news of the week where we have some breaking news. So there's a little tease for you.
Nice.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Rowdy Dragon back again for this week's Final Lap Weekly Fantasy Update. Well, we're coming off of a rather lackluster Richmond Raceway on the short track, and we're heading into a high-speed oval at Michigan. But before we look at some picks for Michigan, let's take a look and see who dominated over in Richmond. Your first stage leader goes to Happy 57. Happy 57 also went on to take the second stage, and your winner for the day, UKCL7 fan. I'm going to go out on the limb here and say this is a fan from across the pond that likes to watch Corey LaJoie in that 7 car. Well, UK Corey LaJoie 7 fan scored 235 points on the day, 53 stage points, pretty good. Max points on the day was 251. You were pretty close there. Good job. All right, looking at Rowdy, Toby, and Kerry's picks, and then moving on to our sponsors. Rowdy, I finished in the 80th spot, still clinging on to that second position in the overall standings. Toby Christie finished in the 45th spot. He is currently sitting in 80th. Kerry Murphy, Jimmy is back. He finished in the 83rd position and currently sits 117 in the league. Now looking at our sponsors, Joe Bike finished in the 69th spot. He currently owns the 18th spot in the league. Louisville Max, with a P47 finish this weekend, pulls him up to 13th in the overall standings. And Devin, DL Racing King 11, finished in the 144th spot, sitting in 147th in the overall standings. All right, let's take a look at some picks for Michigan International Raceway. This week we'll start with the 9 car, Chase Elliott. He's got 12 races run at the track with an average finish of 8th. He's got 3 top 5 finishes, finishing up there in the top 5 in 25% of his runs. He's got 10 top 10 finishes, landing himself up there in 83% of his runs. Chase has 144 laps led, no wins at the track at this juncture. Looking at his stage point picture, he's collected stage points in 9 out of 20 tries, one of those being a stage win. Well, with Chase missing so many races this season, it's a pretty good bet you still have a couple uses left. This is a good weekend to roster that 9 car. Over his career at Michigan, Chase has only finished outside the top 10 twice, his worst effort being a 20th place finish. Looking at his speed rankings for the high-speed ovals, has the 9 car ranked 11th this season, averaging a speed rank of 10.3. Now, a little bit of warning here, as many players still have a lot of chases left, he will be rostered pretty heavily. So a contrarian play can be made, avoiding the 9 altogether if you need to make a strategy play, hoping that the 9 car has a bad day. Strictly for fantasy purposes, of course, because no one wants the 9 to have a bad day now, do they? So consider Chase for your lineup for Sunday. All right, moving on to our second driver pick for this week. The 4 car, Kevin Harvick. Kevin's got 42 races at the track with an average finish of 11th. He's got 16 top 5s, landing him up there in 38% of his runs, and 22 top 10s. That puts him up there in 52% of his runs. Kevin has quite a few laps led at 737 and 6 wins to his credit. Looking at his stage point picture, he has collected stage points in 14 out of 20 tries, and get this, 6 of those were stage wins. Harvick is coming to arguably one of his best tracks, as we can see by the way of his career stats. He and Rodney Childers are really hungry for that win to cap off Kevin's final season in Cup. They will be really hard to beat on Sunday. Looking at his loop data from the last race in Michigan, has Harvick second in driver ratings with a 123, showing he had a great run on the day. He had a well-balanced car, being 5th fastest early in the run, 2nd fastest late in the run. In terms of speed, Kevin had the 3rd most fastest laps run, was 4th in green flag speed, spending 95% of his race up there in the top 15. Kevin's speed ranking from Michigan in the 2022 season has him ranked 4th, and he racked up his 6th win at the track. He should be highly considered for your lineup on Sunday. Okay, our final driver pick to look at, the 23 car Bubba Wallace. He's got 9 races run at the track with an average finish of 18.6. He has 1 top 5, landing him up in the top 5 in 11% of his runs, and 2 top 10 finishes, finishing up in the top 10 in 22% of his runs. He also has 22 laps led and no wins. He's still looking for stage points and stage wins as well. If your garage picks are running low, Bubba is a great driver to look at, as I'm sure you haven't exhausted all your allocations here. He had a great run going on the short track at Richmond last week. I didn't see that coming. He's now going to a high-speed oval, his bread and butter. Last season's Luke data had him ranked among the best for the weekend. He had the 4th best average running position. His driver rating was 118.4, 3rd best. He had the fastest car early in the run, 3rd fastest late, showing a good balanced car. His green flag speed was 3rd, and he spent 91% of his race in the top 15, earning him the 2nd best speed rank on the day, while coming home with a podium finish in 2nd place. Bubba could be a good roster for Sunday's race. Keep an eye on his practice speeds for this weekend. It looks like the weather will hold out the entire weekend, so no precipitation to worry about. Practice and qualifying should go on as scheduled. All right, folks, that does it over here. Good luck running down Larson 2023. He is still sitting in that P1 spot as we close in on the regular season finish. And then we reset for the playoffs. All right, folks, that about does it over here. So, as usual, thanks for hanging out and listening to the Final Lap Weekly Fantasy segment of the show. I am Rowdy Dragon. We'll talk to you again next week.
And there you have Rowdy Dragon getting you all set up for Michigan International Speedway this coming weekend when it comes to fantasy NASCAR at any rate. So there you go. Always love Rowdy on this show.
The myth, the legend, Mr. Rowdy Dragon. He is the guy, dude.
Yeah, totally. Let's get into some news of the week from TobyChristie.com and RacingAmerica.com. What you got for us?
Well, Kerry, we've got tons and tons of stuff. Let's start with the breaking news of the day, though. You ready for this?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, as we're recording this today, Corey LaJoie and Spire Motorsports have announced fully an official multi-year contract extension. So Corey LaJoie will remain in the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet Camaro for several years now.
All right. So that's, as a driver, you always want to see and hear that because it's just one less thing you got to worry about.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's one of those things that you don't want that in the back of your head, kind of questioning, am I safe here? Do I put it over the line? Because if I wreck, do I still have a ride next year?
Right.
Do I take it easy? I don't know.
You're under the microscope.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's always easier when you've got a little bit of certainty in your future.
For sure. We got, wow, that is quite the product. Toxic waste, hazardously sour candy on the 6 car of Brennan Poole.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They've had some interesting sponsorships there at JD Motorsports this year. This is definitely one of them. That car is definitely going to stand out. It's got that bright, almost Toby Christie lime green there with the yellow.
Yeah.
It's got the caution tape down the side. That looks pretty cool. So that'll be interesting. How about this? We've got an interest. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Candy. What's up? Let's talk Candy.
I was going to say my 14-year-old one time ate like a whole box of these kinds of sour candies. Next day he goes, I think I burnt the inside of my mouth with that candy.
Yeah, no, we used
don't
to
eat the whole box.
We used to do that with Warheads too. They were always like that. You'd sit there and just like gobble down an entire bag, and the next day, like your tongue's just sore.
Yeah, I can't taste anything. Is it permanent? No, you just made a bad life choice.
Just broccoli will now be good tomorrow.
Yeah, here, eat this now.
How about this? Partnership for 2311 Racing, Tyler Reddick, the 45 team. They will be having Rocket League, the very popular video game, as the sponsor of their car this weekend at Michigan. Pretty cool.
I didn't even know they were still a thing. Usually, my kids have played that and moved on already.
So Rocket League's kind of one of those games like Fortnite and like Minecraft where it's the same game each year. They just keep giving you more downloadable content to keep kind of pumping up the game. And part of that downloadable content over the last few years has been NASCAR. They've actually had some NASCAR skins you're able to use in the game. I think in 2021 they released some standard NASCAR Cup Series cars. Of course, the Next Gen car came out, so in 2022 they came out with some NASCAR Next Gen skins that you could use in a downloadable pack.
Right.
And now, we don't know what they've got going on this year. We haven't heard anything about another downloadable pack, but the tease from 2311 said there will be another announcement coming soon from Rocket League and NASCAR. So maybe another downloadable pack, maybe something else. Who knows? We'll see.
We'll have to hit that update button on our PlayStation for that game.
Yeah, no, Rocket League's pretty cool. I like Rocket League a lot, and I've got a buddy, Mike O'Sullivan, who loves that game and was actually like in some esports leagues and stuff for it. So he was pretty he was into it there for a while.
Very cool.
What else we got?
Connor Daly. Looks like Connor Daly joins Alpha Prime Racing for Xfinity race at the Indy Road Course. We're going to see a lot of this, I think, in the couple of weeks leading up to the road courses. Some of these, I don't want to say ringers, but that's more their specialty.
Definitely, with his experience in the IndyCar series, it makes sense. He's a guy who knows road courses very well, especially Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to be, frank, right there. So Connor Daly being behind the wheel of a car is a pretty good thing to begin with. He's a fun.
He's a great personality. I've talked to him. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's always throwing out like mullets and stuff like that, and he's just a funny guy. So that's cool, and then he's really talented behind the wheel too. And I think that'll give Alpha Prime a really good shot to kind of see where they really stand as far as their road course program goes. Because I know this team expanded this year and expected a lot of really big things based on how they finished the year last year, and it just hasn't panned out for them. So I think this will be a good determining factor for them to kind of see where their program is too.
I know they're probably on the racetrack right now. I know they're testing at Richmond right after the Richmond weekend. Are we hearing anything this week?
Yeah, so NASCAR tested out some stuff with a lift splitter on the front where it is a little different, and it worked a little. Didn't really give them the results they were looking for. On day 2, they took the underbody pretty much out, the whole diffuser and all that stuff, and tried all that. Shrunk the spoiler, made the spoiler 4 inches, and then made it 2 inches. Tried a bunch of different stuff. None of it really gave them the result they were looking for. The only thing that really made a real big difference for them during this test, according to the drivers, was the kind of tire. They kept changing the tires from Goodyear, softer, harder, and all that stuff, and that's what was making the big differences. So it doesn't seem like aerodynamics is going to be what solves the short track package.
Kind of makes sense, though.
Yeah, no, it does, for sure. When you look at it, I mean, they're not going fast enough where aerodynamics should be that big of a deal. So, you start turning to horsepower, which NASCAR has seemed like they don't want to increase. And then you turn to the tire. If the tire's too hard where it doesn't wear out, that's kind of where you're at. So you get a tire that wears a little bit and maybe doesn't have that grip factor. Then you kind of have chances for people to kind of move up and down and all around, save some tires, do different things. And that's kind of where you can change things.
Let's get into, unless we got anything more on the table for NASCAR news, let's get into Michigan, right?
Let's do it. Michigan, let's go, man.
Big, bad, fast, 2-mile oval, banking up to 18 degrees. Front stretch 5, back stretch 2. The front stretch is 3,600 feet, back stretch 2,242 in length. Why did they put this in the middle? Season race number 23 of 36. NASCAR never ceases to amaze.
Yes.
Race is 200 laps, 400 miles. Stage 1, 45 laps. Stage 2, 75 laps. And the final stage weighing in at 80 laps. Last year's pole sitter was Bubba Wallace. And last year's winner was Kevin Harvick. Is that right?
Wow. Yeah. Harvick won 2 in a row. Remember that?
Oh, okay.
It was one of those things where
I thought it's been years.
Well, that was the thing. So, he had gone, over a year without winning. And then all of a sudden, he busted out 2 in a row. And I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was big.
So could he repeat? He needs a win this year, right?
Man, that is the question. Ford has won Michigan the last 7 times. So if one of these Stewart-Haas cars is to sneak up and get a win, I think this is the week for sure, especially with the kind of strength they've been showing. I know most of the strength's been on these shorter flat tracks. But again, with the Ford dominance you've had at Michigan the last few years, I know they feel like they're at a disadvantage this year with the aerodynamics on the cars based on the Chevys and Toyotas having new front ends and stuff like that. But man, the track record, I just find it hard to believe that Doug Yates power down the straightaways and stuff doesn't supersede anything else we're seeing. So until we show up and they're not the class of the field here at Michigan, I'm going to go with a Ford.
Wow. So Chase Elliott Nation just got deflated. He doesn't have a win at Michigan. He needs a win this year. So,
He's got some road courses, though.
That's true.
Yeah, he's got Indy and Watkins.
But he hasn't won on one of those in a while, I don't believe.
That's true. So you bring him down some more, Kerry. Way to go. Yeah, you just keep Chase Elliott Nation's hopes.
Well, he shouldn't have broke his leg or gotten suspended.
This is true. You can do one of the two, but you can't do both and expect to make it.
Right. He was, kind of his own doing.
Yeah, I mean, when you boil it down, it really is, unfortunately.
So taking a look at some of the drivers at Michigan, we've got Ryan Blaney, who's got a win there. Kyle Busch has a win. Like we mentioned, Chase Elliott does not have a win. Denny Hamlin, 2 wins. Harvick, 6 wins. Wow. I know that's over a very long time.
Yeah, I still didn't realize he was at the 6 wins at Michigan. Wow.
That's pretty amazing. Anybody even close to that? Kyle Larson has 3. There was a time when Kyle Larson owned this track.
Yeah, this track and Auto Club. He was the guy at both.
Yep.
It was unstoppable. I don't know what it was with that 42 car, but man, he was unstoppable at this place. Logano
also has 3 wins as we round out our list of drivers with wins.
There you go. So look at that.
So we're talking, we're going from short track to high speeds at Michigan and then a road course.
We're all over the place. You can't get in any kind of rhythm in the sport, I swear. So it's one of those things where, maybe we do see some extra winners with all the different varieties of tracks. I don't know, but I still don't think so. But it is kind of a weird thing to go from that kind of, short track, long track, road course. So you never know.
Yeah, then what's after that? What do we got here? Oh, it's 2 road courses in a row.
Yeah, you've got Indy and then Watkins Glen.
Right? Yeah. And then Daytona. You could not have, mixed up the schedule more.
Yeah, and then of course Daytona being the final, that's an ultimate crapshoot. You never know. If your season hopes are on the line and you're at Daytona, all bets are off. You can do anything you want.
So they've kind of sort of taken our advice. Remember, for years we've been saying they should bookend the season with Daytona. At least they kind of are with the regular season.
That's true. Yeah, it does, and it brings a compelling aspect to that final regular season championship race because
luck of the draw.
Anybody can win. Not everybody will win, but everybody can win, and that's what makes it great. Especially with this format where anybody can get in the playoffs. So there's no cutoff anywhere. You don't have to be top 30 in points. As long as you're running the full schedule and you win a race, you could be in. So this will open it up to ultimate drama, I think.
Definitely. So anything more on Michigan? Can we expect maybe a Kyle Larson to steal one from years past or whatever?
Yeah, he's been pretty good lately. I know Richmond wasn't his best race, but he's had some pretty good performances here as of late. And that would be interesting to see if because Chevy's been really good this year. They've won half the schedule already, and the season's not even over. But once we're done, they've already won over half of it. So it's a question that we'll see this weekend, but it will be interesting to see if they can kind of swing that power back their way. Plus, we're in the summer months. We talked about it. The Toyotas get really strong at this point in the season. Can they kind of, swoop up the pride of winning in Michigan? Because everybody wants to win over there in Detroit. So we'll see how things go.
That's true. Has Keselowski done that yet? I don't.
So that's the thing. He's never won at his home track, and this is an opportunity with him being in a Ford. Very good point on bringing that up. So with the momentum they've had, could you imagine how sweet that would be if his first team win with his own team is at Michigan?
That's going to happen, right? That's just how NASCAR
writes the scripts. It has to, right?
So that's the pick.
Please win this weekend.
It would be just massive. It would.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
And back to back at that.
Yeah, no, that would be incredible. What a statement that would be. And we 2 years in a row we'd see that kind of thing because Harvick won the 2 back to back, Richmond and Michigan last year, and then you'd have RFK doing it this year. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And you get more donuts.
More donuts. I'm sure they'd invite me over again.
Presuming. Yeah. I think that would be a weekly thing. They wouldn't mind.
So.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Ever since the Toby guys started going to celebrations, we win every week.
Has Brad warmed up to you a little bit?
He seemed friendly that I was there. I don't think he was mad that I was there. So, yeah.
Because wasn't there a past?
It was a thing where I don't think he didn't like me. It was just the situations weren't lining up every time. It just felt like things were weird every time.
Right.
So, no, I don't think it was a thing where he really didn't like me. It was an ongoing joke on the show. But no, I don't think there's anything there. I think it's fine.
this guy the bad donuts.
Right, give him the bad ones. That's funny.
All right, well, I think we're all in line. We've got the ducks in the row. We've got Michigan this coming weekend. So if you like the show, feel free to hit subscribe on whatever podcasting platform is what I was saying.
Yes.
And also now on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell, all those fun YouTube kind of things. And that way we can continue this content rolling here at TobyChristieCom at YouTube. Checkered flag is flying on the show. This has been the Final Lap Weekly. Catch us next week right here when we will recap the racing at... I was hoping you'd fill in the blanks.
Oh, I got nothing for you.
We will recap the racing at Michigan and preview Indianapolis and all the stories in between. Toby, you and I will chat next week.
We sure will, man. We will. It'll be fun.
And time now to thank our current list of Patreon paying people. Patreon.com/the final lap.
And we have lots and lots and lots of them, Kerry. You ready for this?
I am ready.
All right, let's go through this. We've got Lalo sitting there. We appreciate you, Lalo, our most recent patron. You're the man, you're the myth, you're the legend, just like Mr. Rowdy Dragon, just like everybody else in the show. We've got lots of mans, myths, and legends around here, right?
I guess, yeah.
I
thought I was the only one. But...
No. Come on. We just tolerate you, Kerry.
Yes, as I do you.
Yes. We've got Robert Keene. Thank you, Robert. We appreciate you. We've got Jimmy B, Mr. Jimmy James, 1983, Quentin Whitaker, Simon Green from across the pond, Troy Clark from down under, Peter Johansson, David Reed, James Maples II, our sponsor of the show, Joe Bike. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate you. Evan Taylor, Mike Hamilton, Nick Reed, Scott Clark, Justin Kapuscinskis. He's the man, and I'm sure he's expecting that huge Larson win, right?
I would guess.
I would imagine. And Charles K. Miller, longest tenured listener of the show. I think he was listening to the show since before you actually dropped it for the first time in the iTunes store or whatever it was back then.
I was still chiseling the scripts.
Yes. So thank you, Charles. Thank you, everybody on the show. We seriously appreciate it.
We got a message from Devin, one of our Patreon, says he hasn't stopped. He thinks there's something wrong with the payment system on Patreon.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's mention him too, Devin. Since he's figuring it out. We'll
I'm not sure what's going on there, but
yeah, he was one of our sponsors actually. So
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I just wanted to let you know that we got your message, and we don't control Patreon, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, we don't, but we'll send a note too and see if we can figure out what's happening. So
yeah, let us know how it goes. Also,
yeah.
Join in on the giving fun. Patreon.com/the final lap.
And join your illusion.